Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, and our ongoing study in Reine's novel, First Sons and Last Daughters. We're going to look at pages 209 to 233, and we'll look at it in 3 moments. Let's go to block 1. The summing up of life at breakfast. Kelsey, Adler, and Peyton take breakfast on the patio, and they're remembering Scarborough and his the brief summations of life he would always volunteer. Kelsey says that he has an eschatological summation of his own for things ahead. And Kelsey says the ranch will one day belong to Bryce and William. He says he sees them together in his soul. His perception says, I see Bryce and William together. The eschatological vision comes up against its negation. The vision comes up against its negation. Matt joins everyone with no shirt on. Bryce arrives and gives him a shirt to put on. William shows up, but rather than joining them, he sees Matt, gets offended that Bryce has a boyfriend, and he just turns around and bolts. Bryce and Peyton both follow after William, and Kelsey looks at Matt and he says, you stay right here and sit tight. So he's going to put Matt in his place. Self-assessment time arrives unexpectedly. Bryce and William catch up to each other and they ask, where do we go from here? And that's a justifiable question. Bryce wants to know what's going on. You know, you're moving on. You're engaged to another woman, and now you're confusing me. And so, where are we going from here? Where do we go from here? Peyton questions the same thing internally. She's kind of overhearing their talk. She's asking herself internally, where am I going to go from here? Because I'm not feeling connected to my husband, and I'm feeling more connected with my project of my museum gallery combination for the ranch, and I'm feeling more adventurous with Ashton than I am with my husband. I'm feeling disconnected with my husband. So she's kind of asking the same question inside. Where does she go from here? Matt catches up to Bryce, and he finds out that she's packed him up to go home. And she just goes, no, we're done. We had fun. It was a great fun time, but I've got too much going on in my life, too much to deal with right now, and you need to go home. Well, good for her. She does have a lot to deal with, but poor Matt gets the cold shoulder. Peyton returns to her studio and to contemplation. William joins Peyton and asks her to mediate between himself and Bryce so they can finish having their conversation together. Now, Peyton has been painting a canvas of Scarborough, her first of the new year. And now it's become kind of a framework of remembrance, kind of an image of that kind of summation of dying to the old self and reclaiming the new self, starting a new life. It's taken on symbolic meaning for Peyton. But she has this canvas of Scarborough that she was the first of the new year that she painted. Now, a task of faith for herself and for Bryce. Mother and daughter settle into a deep reflection in the studio. And it is one of those places for contemplation and reflection. She tells her daughter that life is not always like her competitions, jumping life's hurdles and then reaping a reward. Sometimes a hurdle cannot be cleared. Sometimes we just encounter suffering, and healing is always going to be a choice. And later, it'll make its way into the heart, but initially, it's a choice of the will. So, yes, you feel disrupted, confused, in pain at the fact that William's going to marry someone else. But you will heal, but you have to choose that path of healing. You have to choose it, walk that path, discover where it takes you. And then as you take that step of faith, that healing will find its way into your heart. That's pretty darn good advice. And the truth is, mother and daughter are both on the same quest. This is an existential novel, and these are genuine life questions. You got transitions in life. You've got a young woman transitioning from high school to college and being on her own and choosing a vocation. Very, very important transition in life. You've got a middle-aged woman who has reached a transition in marriage where you're not the same young people when you first fell in love. You're more mature, you've grown, and as most marriages, you've probably grown a little bit apart. You've taken separate paths, you have separate interests. You don't agree on everything, and someone might have a completely different interest now, and there are transitions in marriage where, hey, we're not connecting now, and these are real questions, and they should spur on real conversation and dialogue and life group. But they are, an existential literary novel is supposed to draw the reader into participation. It is supposed to address the reader with very fundamental questions. And in life group, it's legitimate to cover something like this novel because Christians aren't immune from all these issues that come up in this novel. We face the same things. Transitions to adulthood and college and being out on our own. Transitions in marriage, reaching middle age, having grown apart from your spouse. That doesn't always happen, but there are times when you find out, man, I have a completely different idea of what I want to do, and my spouse has no interest in doing what I want to do, and it's an internal conflict within the marriage, and it's no one's immune from that. So these are legitimate questions, and you have to confront them, in my case and in anyone's life group. What do you do? What's the proper path to take as a believer, as a Christian? You don't just irresponsibly abandon your spouse. You don't. That's not a moral choice. That's an immoral choice. So, what do we do ethically? What do we do to remain true to ourselves, true to our core beliefs? And that's why this is all very important. These are questions for every individual, very fundamental questions and very fundamental transitions in life. Let's move on to Block 2. Okay, Block 2, questioning Ashton's intervention. Bryce questions her mother. Peyton admits there is an attraction to Ashton, but she reinforces her commitment to Adler, but really just for the sake of her daughter, like saying the words that her daughter would like to hear. But Bryce is excited that while in Berkeley, she will be closer to her mother in Carmel because she'll be working at the Garant's gallery again. So they'll be they'll be together in California, or relatively close, and Bryce likes that. She likes the time she can spend with her mother one-on-one. So she's excited that she will be going to Berkeley, but she's also excited that her mother will be working at the gallery and living in Carmel. Retreating to the terrace at night. Very critical here. We know the terrace symbolically is a place of internal contemplation and meditation in Reine's novels. Rather than joining her husband in bed, Peyton gets ready for bed, but she goes to the terrace. It's nighttime. She gets all prepared to go to bed, but rather than go to the bedroom, rather than getting into bed with her husband, she goes to the terrace. It's the existential night. And Adler, hey, my wife is not in bed. Where is she? He gets up, he finds her on the terrace. So the existential night has drawn both of them on the terrace. Peyton is initially very defensive toward Adler, but eventually she does soften and she says, you could come to Carmel with me. You don't have to stay on the ranch. We can leave Laylee to manage the ranch, and why don't you come to Carmel with me and spend some time in Carmel with me? Existential night leads Peyton to take an incredible leap of faith. Now, driving Bryce to college, that's the procedure. Adler's going to drive Bryce to college. Peyton's going to fly out to California. She has to do some errands for the gallery, and she wants to spend some one-on-one time with Gideon before they all meet in Berkeley. But Adler's going to drive his daughter out to Berkeley, and Peyton's going to fly separately. And Adler has the hope that why couldn't we, while we're out there, why couldn't Gideon, Bryce, you and I spend a family time together as a 4-person unit, husband, wife, son, and daughter? And Peyton says, that is impossible. Bryce and Gideon simply do not mix at all. We've both seen it, and it won't work. She goes, we need change. There you go. That's pretty telling. She tells her husband, we need change. But Peyton does make one surprising offer. She goes, but, again, come with me to Carmel, and I will do everything you want to do. You want to go deep sea fishing? We'll go deep sea fishing. Come to Carmel, and I will be the giving wife, and I will do everything you want to do. So she's making a very sacrificial offer. She wants to reinvigorate the marriage, and she goes, this is a chance. I'm offering you this chance, and I will give in, and we will do everything you want to do. Because Adler does not want to entertain. That's not him. So he said, I don't want to entertain while we're out there. I want to, one-on-one time is good, but I don't want to have I don't want to entertain. I don't want to have parties. I don't want to have anything to do with the social gatherings. He's kind of a loner anyway. He's Mr. Outdoorsman. But she goes, okay, we will do everything you want to do. He loves fishing. You want to go deep sea fishing? We'll go deep sea fishing, etc., etc. She wants to reinvigorate, or at least take a chance to reinvigorate the marriage. And the truth is, Peyton knows it's desperate. There's a genuine rift in their marriage, and it's a substantial. There's no easy fix. This is real life, real existential dilemma, and in all probability, they won't be able to heal or reinvigorate the marriage. But this is a step she's willing to take, so we'll give her very positive recognition there. Block 3, off to college for Bryce, and new adventures for Peyton. Off to college. Adler will drive Bryce, and Peyton will fly out separately and do an errand for the Garant Gallery after she arrives in Los Angeles. Peyton will also have time to visit Gideon one-on-one. But Peyton tells Laylee before she leaves that her new adventure is to prioritize the museum and the gallery project. And even though her and Adler will try to mend things in Carmel while they are there. Negation and Adler's counter-offer. Adler suggests to Peyton that the entire family could dine together rather than her and Gideon alone. Peyton says, no, I'm going to do it my way. She actually stands firm and says, I'm not going to give in to you on that. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it my way. Bryce and Gideon should not be together out there. And later, Peyton even makes a confession to Laylee that she and Adler are barely surviving. Okay. The Carmel testing of the relationship and the new museum adventure with Ashton create an opposition of barely surviving. Peyton tells Laylee that Adler has two modes only within which he operates, and that is to withdraw as a loner or to be forceful toward her. So now Peyton's ready to head out to Los Angeles, and we pause there, but we have the tensions set up. We're going to get into the final phase of this volume 2 and see which way our author takes us, which way Reine will take us, and how obviously we've got some tremendous tensions. I mean, good grief. And I look at it, and these are genuine, meaningful, existential issues. I mean, come on. I mean, let's be honest. The transition to college, that's a very significant transition. You're going to be out there on your own. You're going to encounter other young people with differing worldviews. You've got to work your way through, finding yourself, defining yourself, and it's a very important stage of life. And middle age, good grief, marriages have tremendous pressures around middle age. You're not the same young couple starting out in life. You've already, chances are, you've already reached making a good income when you get to middle age, so you've got a better substantial level of living. You've both grown and found your own way of what you like and what you don't like, and there are all kinds of tensions that come up. Me, I really had a love for astronomy. I actually bought and constructed a personal observatory, all fiberglass, and in it I had a computerized telescope. But I loved astronomy, and that was an interest I had. My son kind of shared in that interest, but just him. My son did share in it. Now, I also had a real love for photography, and I had, oh good grief, I was blessed to have a good job with a good income, so I could afford good photo equipment, good astronomy equipment,